This is the Tom Digby Tales, and I'm your host, Shannon Evans. I write about a small town in northeast Mississippi called Columbus. Sometimes I write about the rest of the state. Today, I am going to share with you more about the Columbus Community Housing Development Organization that is part of the Columbus Housing Authority. And we're going to be looking more at those tax forms. We're going to look at something that I found very curious after we were looking at this last night. I'm going to start with the 2021 990s. This predates Mr. B as the director, but it's important to note what's going on there. Remember, the Board of Commissioners do not have any discussion about this organization, even though they're over it. They are the commissioners for the what's called CHODO, the Columbus Community Housing Development Organization, as well as their own organization, the Columbus Housing Authority. Now, what's interesting is in 2021, we're going to look at the numbers. In 2021, they were in the hole $202,906. That means in the prior year, if we look at this, which would have been 2020, they were in the hole for $162,643. Now, what I find interesting is that we don't see how they get out of this hole. So let's look again. They got a contributions in 2020 of $442,249. That was in grants, gifts, whatever. They had some investment income, $1,300. Their total revenue, investments plus whatever contributions they got, was $443,554. And they paid $37,691 in salaries. Their other expenses, which we don't know what they are, it says it's lines 11A through 11D. So we're going to go back and we're going to go look for 11A through 11D, but it says that it equaled their total expenses were 606,197. So that should be lines 11 through 17. So let's go down here. Let's go down to 11. So if the organization answers these, blah, blah, blah. Did they report anything for land and equipment? Yes. Did the organization report any amount for investments? No. Did they report any investments? No. Did they report any other assets? No. Did the organization report an amount of other liabilities? If yes, complete Schedule D, Part X. So I'm going to have to keep looking for this. So we go all the way through this, and I don't see any numbers that explain where they got upside down. So let's go down to 12. Did they have a written conflict of interest policy? No. Did the organization have a written whistleblower policy? No. Did the organization have a written document retention and destruction policy? No. Did the process of I'm still none of this has anything to do with money. So let's go on down. So we see that now this is interesting. We see the board, and Miss Deborah Taylor at that time was making $91,883. Now, what I don't know is, and I've got to talk to someone who is a tax expert. I hope someone's out there, a CPA, a tax expert, who can explain this to me for nonprofits. When someone works for a for-profit arm or a government entity and for the nonprofit, are they making two salaries when it's reported here? Or is this their salary that they are making in the government entity and it's also reported in the nonprofit because they are supervising? See, it's not real clear. It says reportable compensation from related organizations. So it shows they're getting nothing in this one. So is this from the other organization? I'm not real clear on that. So we've got to find out. And I may have misspoken before. Reading is a lost art, and I saw that small print. It looks like they are a 1099 or a W-2 somewhere, which is, I'm guessing, is Columbus Housing Authority. Okay. So now we come down here. I still see, all I see is a government grant for $300,000, rental income of $128,152, and I'm still not seeing anything. These are their program expenses, their wages, their employee benefits, their legal, their accounting, all of this. So now we get to the bottom. They have cash on hand at the beginning of the year, $587,186, but they spent more than they had. They have savings. They have accounts receivable. They have notes and loans. They don't pay much on their loans each year. They have their depreciation, their total assets. We go all the way down here and we see total revenue was 428,000. Their total expenses exceed their total revenue. That's why they're in the hole. Their revenue less expenses is they are a losing money organization. How long can they sustain this? I don't know, but their net assets covers them. They also get money each year that they seem to count on. We see their grants from year to year. In 2017, they had 31,000 in grants. In 2018, they got 460,000. In 2019, 410,000. 2020, 442,000. 2021, 300,000. So they've done well in the way of grants. However, they still are outspending what they're bringing in. So that is 2020, 2021. We go back to the top. Let's look at 2022. This is the 2022. And again, so this will be 2021, the 202,906. But here they did it again, minus 305, $483. $305,483. They're still in the hole. Now that year they didn't get any grants. So how did they operate that entire year without any grants? Where did their operations money come from? Did it come from the housing authority and it's not reflected in here as a grant or a gift? Where are they reflecting the money they're getting from the Columbus Housing Authority? Because I've seen in their minutes, they'll move $50,000 over here, $50,000 over there. But it's not in the ledger that I can find. So I don't know what bank account it's coming from or what a bank account it's going into and how it's reflected in their taxes. So it's very interesting that we have this movement of money and we have grants in some years and no grants in other years. And we are running at a revenue loss. If you have any explanations, I'm game. I'm open for it. All I know is I have no explanation, and it says that their person who or the organization that prepares their income taxes is Smith, Marion and Company. Now I've looked them up before, and what I have seen is that they seem to specialize in working with housing authorities. Good, because I bet it takes an expert to do this. And they're in Franklin, Tennessee, and they are the tax preparers. Okay. Again, you can't see where the grants are named or come from or anything like that because at the very bottom it tells to contact the preparers. There we go. Upon written request, the organization will make available the governing documents, policies, and or financial statements. They want you to pay to see. Okay, so let's now go to looking up how the Columbus Housing Authority is listed with the Secretary of State and how the Columbus Community Housing Development Organization and their subgroups, Seasons of Success, which appears to be their Seasons of Success is their after school program for grades 2 through 5, I think. And then Seasons of Columbus, which is for senior citizens and some nursing care. Let's look into that. Okay, I'm going to go to the Secretary of State's website. And as you can see, let's back up. I'm going to go to the business name. We're going to start with the Columbus Housing Authority. Okay, and you can do this for any business and any nonprofit. I went to the Secretary of State's website for the Columbus, Mississippi. I clicked on the part that said business, and then I went down here and I just searched, and you can do business, nonprofits. So I went search existing businesses. Okay, so I click this, click it right now, search for existing businesses, and then you go down here and you enter in the business name or the officer's name or the registered agent if you know that person. Okay, so let's just start with Columbus Housing Authority. Okay, there's no matches found. They're a government entity, so I'm not surprised that they're not in here. But let's do the Columbus Community Housing Org. Okay, let's look them up. Here they are. This shows the search date when I searched and it tells me the name of it. I look at this, it says it's a nonprofit, it's in good standing. It was created June 14th, 2017. All right, I've clicked on the details. I can see that the registered agent is Deborah Taylor, the former director, and the officers and directors are still listed as Deborah Taylor. Now, they should be updating that. That should say either the president or Robert Gregory or both or their board members. Okay, let's look at their filed documents. Oh, no, that's interesting. So they have a formation form. Let's start with that. And then we'll look at what this fictitious name registration is. Okay. In 2017, it started Columbus Community Housing Development as lessors of residential buildings and dwellings and residential property managers. So their plan was to provide further safe, decent, affordable housing to low and moderate income individuals and families. That's a worthy cause. And we see that that's the original. Okay. So now I'm going to go back. Let's close that one. And I'm going to go back. Now we're going to see, what is this fictitious name? Columbus, Seasons of Columbus. Now that's interesting. This is I think they're just doing business as, or a DBA, a fictitious name. So what it says is that they are considered assisted living facilities for the elderly. Now this is the old Palmer property. And these are some of the cottages have been converted or are being converted. And that's how they're doing business. Now, what's interesting is it didn't have a signature page. Don't know why, but that's what they are. All right. So now I'm going to go up here to where it says view filed documents. So it says they're in good standing and no principal office address found. It does give the Columbus Housing Authority's address, not the address of Palmer Home. Not sure that means anything or why. Okay, so we know that Seasons of Columbus is actually considered part of CHODO, or Columbus Community Housing Development Organization. But what about Seasons of Success? I don't see them listed. They're not listed here. They're not listed here under that doing business as or fictitious name. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to put Seasons of Success. It should be here somewhere. Nope. Now, that's interesting because someone's getting paid to be in charge of that. And I think they're getting paid like $94,000 a year. Could be wrong. I think their budget is like $160,000 a year to run that program. I could look back on meeting minutes and we could go figure that out. But in the meantime, we'll talk about meeting minutes another day for the Columbus Housing Authority. But for now, let's look up. We know that the business name Seasons of Success is not something we can find. There's no EIN, there's no state number, there's nothing that says Seasons of Success. I'm not sure how they're operating under Columbus Community Housing Authority, but anyways, let's look up the officer's name who is running that program. Her name is Jackie Stennis. She's a wonderful director. She's doing great work with the students in this program. Now, it's interesting, there's only one business listed under her, and it's J. Stennis Consulting, moving the rubber tree plant. Now, she is an educator. She has over 25 years of experience. She's doing consulting under her name, but I don't see anything for Seasons of Success. I just see her name and her consulting company. So let's look. Jacqueline Stennis Consulting. It's got her address, got information, says she's the manager and the agent who founded this organization, which makes sense. Let's look at the filed documents. Look, she's really good at filing documents every year, as opposed to the community housing, CHODO. They had not filed anything since, I think, 2017. We can go back and check again, but I didn't see any annual reports listed. And we can see that she has put up and she's even amended. So let's see what her amendment. Let's look at her formation first. But she's given an annual report to the state every year. Let's start with her formation. She formed as Educational Support Services and Individual and Family Services. And she named her company. She has her limited liability company certificate of formation. She's done everything she was supposed to. Let's go here. Then it says she has an amendment in 2019. What did she amend it to? She just amended it, looks like maybe her address. No, she amended her name from J. Stennis Consulting to Jacqueline Stennis Consulting. It's all above board. So let's go back now. And we can see she's done an annual report every year. Look at this. Every year she's updated it. She's done professional management, development training, individual family services, educational support services. She has done what she's supposed to do. She's probably already submitted her 2025. Okay, I'm going to go back And I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to drink some water first. I'm going to go back and we are going to look for, I'm going to go back and look for Columbus Community Housing again, because I want to look and see if they've done any updates like they're supposed to, like Miss Stennis has done with her consulting. Columbus Community Housing and Housing, oof, I can't type today, y'all. Housing Development. Okay, let's look it up. There we go. Those details again. View file documents. Nope. They did a DBA in 2020 and they did a formation in 2017, but they haven't filed any of their yearly reports. So I'm surprised they're still in good standing, but, and the former director is still listed as the agent and the manager. Folks, somebody needs to tell the folks at Chodo that they might need to look into this and might want to update this with the Secretary of State's office. I don't know how it impacts them, but I do find it interesting. You can go over here, you can hit some prints, some documents if you want to print them. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. I'm just going to share with you everything I do and how I do it. And I want you to understand that none of this is top secret. None of this is anything you can't do. I'm not breaking into anybody's websites or codes or anything like that. This is all just pure research. And you too can go and dig for this information. So now that I've showed you what I've done, I encourage you to go do it. If you want to look up a business, you want to look up an organization, you can look up the Columbus Humane Society if you're really interested. Go do your own digging around and be a responsible citizen who makes sure that your government and your government entities are operating under the sunshine laws as they're supposed to. This also applies to nonprofits. It's interesting how many nonprofits forget to do this step and get caught and they have to go back. They get their EIN number, but they forget to register with the state of Mississippi. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to help you out. Please don't hesitate to drop a question in all the socials under the YouTube video for this particular video or in the podcast. I'm always happy to answer your questions. And if there's anything I can do to help you in your search for public records, let me know. In the meantime, I'm still fighting to get the credit card public records request with the Columbus Housing Authority. They have given me an exorbitant fee. I don't know if the board is aware that Mr. Tree gave me this exorbitant fee. He's trying to tell me it's almost $1,300 to get credit card invoices and a couple more documents, but basically it's credit card invoices. We're going to keep pursuing this. And next up, I'm going to show you how to do a HUD complaint. So you too can go to the Inspector General with HUD and you can lobby a complaint. And then pretty soon I'll show you how to do a complaint with the Ethics Committee, Mississippi Ethics Commission, and maybe even an Attorney General complaint. I'm just going to share with you my whole journey in trying to get to the bottom of where all this money is and what's going on with it. Anyways, thanks for coming on my podcast, The Tombigbee Tales. Until next time.